approval of the agenda for the meeting. So it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Default?
Yes.
Mrs. Stewart?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
Mr. Wooten?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes. All right. Awards and recognition.
Best part of the agenda. Mr. Stewart tonight's our high school night, so
Yeah.
all right. Beth Webster Leading Line Award.
Good evening, good evening. It is my pleasure to nominate 4 students. We have 4 wonderful young freshmen who, and I'll try and do their story justice. They are members of our cross-country team. And several weeks ago they were out on our regatta subdivision, getting some work in, pounding the pavement, getting fit, and they heard a resident in distress. He ran over to assist. It was an elderly gentleman who'd fallen while gardening and cut his head open in his driveway. And the 4 young ladies stayed with him, provided assistance. They ran and got a neighbor. The neighbor then called the police and ambulance. EMTs arrived and took care of the elderly gentleman. I felt this is kind of the behavior that all of our students should kind of embody as student athletes. The kind of call to service, the selfless acts was phenomenal. So it is my pleasure this evening to nominate Chloe Spears, Lily Mayer, Izzy Hollander, and Maya Dunham for our Beth Webster Leading Line Award for the high school for this board meeting. Phenomenal.
Thanks. We're missing a name. We'll make sure we get that on there and the appropriate certification. So, are the students here?
They are, yes.
And parents?
Yes.
We can have them come on
Come
up.
up, we're going to take it.
We've done this before.
Yep, come on up, guys. Stand right over there. Lily, she's not here. Okay, but Lily's here. And Izzy? No. Okay. And Chloe, there you go. We'll get these to the 2 girls.
Ready. 1, 2, 3. Begin.
3 is 2.
All right, the next thing on the recognition awards is Board of Education recognition. So I'd like to hand it over to Mr. Adam Bird, Representative Bird, for a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. It's great to be with you guys, and it's an honor to come and actually I came tonight to recognize your superintendent, Tracy Miller. And so 5 years as superintendent, which is about 45 years in dog years. And you know, being a superintendent comes with a lot of political issues, and you've got to work with the school board, you've got to work with the teachers union, you've got to work with the bus drivers union, you've got to work with the PTO moms, the Chamber of Commerce, and so you've got to juggle a lot of hats. I appreciate that. And as a taxpayer of the New Richmond School District, I've not called him one time to complain about anything. So
That's true. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I don't even think I've called a Board of Education member to complain. And I don't think anybody gets paid less per angry phone call than Board of Education members. And so needs to be something done about that. But anyway, Mr. Miller, I came to congratulate you, and I have a commendation with me from the Ohio General Assembly, and signed by the Speaker of the House, and commending you for years of public service and to your 5 years at New Richmond School. So thank you so much for what you've done to our community, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You speak like you've done this before. Thank you, Adam.
All right, and the other thing too, from the perspective of the Board of Education, as we recognize a career spanning 5 decades, 5 different decades, starting out in the classroom all the way up, getting us through COVID, where we tried to keep our kids in the classroom as much as possible, brought things like a mental health committee to our community, where we have the Sources of Strength program. AP classes at the high school. We have a lot more than we once did. The emergency responders and the community relationships that we've developed, led by Mr. Miller. We have safety days, we have safety committee meetings, and they just rave about the relationships that have been built with the school district and the community. So all that goes, we wanted to give that recognition to Mr. Miller. But the other thing is, we all know we're a power plant district. 2 power plants have shut down, and Mr. Miller led us through our first levy that we passed in decades. And to that, we just wanted to show some gratitude. So to remember the New Richmond School District, we have a helmet here that we've all signed.
Oh, yeah.
So you can put that in your office. There you go.
For a few more days. Thanks.
So thank you, Mr. Miller. All right.
Well, that just dovetails right into the superintendent's report. So this will be my last board meeting, at least for some time. I just want to say thanks, first of all, to the board members and the 2 previous board members who took a chance on some guy out of Columbus that didn't have any superintendent's experience, and came down here. Not just the board, our community, our parents, our kids, we talk about it all the time, and you all may not know, we have a great district here. We have great kids, great parents, great teachers. Nothing, John Maxwell said, just nothing of significance is ever accomplished alone. I gave a talk back at Convocation, but if you look at Roger Bannister, who broke the 4-minute mile barrier, there's no more individual achievement than that. And it goes through the team that he had around him so that he could accomplish this achievement. Everything we do here, everything that you just mentioned, so much more is because of the team. We've got an incredible high-functioning team here, certified, classified, exempt, admin team. We're blessed. We really are. This is a special place. I'm staying here. I'm not moving. Love it here. The community embraced me. My admin team makes fun of me. I always carry around a yellow pad and 2 pens, right? You never know when one's going to run out, but these never run out of battery, right? And so I can scribble it. But in here, and I keep it, and I can show it to you, I keep a list of all the accomplishments that we've done the past 5.5 years. It's dozens of things that we've done. I even thought about maybe even like going through it tonight. That I thought that had been too much to go through, but it is a lot that we've accomplished. And sometimes it's good to have something like that. Because sometimes when things get a little rough, you can forget. Man, we've done some really great things here. When you go back, you kind of refresh. And John, the first thing on that list is I put COVID. We made it through there. And that was that. A lot of people didn't make it through there. We made it through. We did okay. But we've had some triumphs. We've had some tragedies. We worked through it. I think we're better now. And that's one of the thousands of pieces of advice I gave to Dr. Jill. Is I want her. She should start her own yellow pad and start her list of achievements, because it's easy to forget them in the moment when you're in the trenches. To go back and refresh about what you got great people around you. So I'm looking forward to the next chapter of New Richmond under the leadership of Dr. Jill Hollingsworth. I think we caught lightning in a bottle when we were able to hire her away a few years ago, and I just think the flourish is just going to continue to flourish, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the great things. So. That is before I start to choke up, that's my super tip. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so next on the agenda is public participation. So we have multiple people who have signed the form to participate tonight. And just want to lay the ground rules here. So board policy is that we give 30 minutes of public participation. Each speaker has 3 minutes. We're going to time each speaker. Anyone having legitimate interest in the actions of the board may participate during the public portion of a meeting. One of the things that every person as you come up, included in your 3 minutes of time, is to state your name and full address, city and state, and a zip code as well, please. And then also, you'll have 3 minutes. We'll give you a 20-second warning that your 3 minutes is coming to an end. And all comments are to be addressed to the presiding officer, which is the board president. And nobody else is to be addressed but the public presiding officer. So that's the guidelines coming forward. The first one on the list for public participation is Logan Bixler.
Good evening, board members. My name is Logan Bixler. I live at 1048 Ritchie Road, Felicity, Ohio, 45120. I want to speak to you about the importance of keeping our classrooms focused on education. As a combat veteran, I have spent my life defending the rights and freedoms guaranteed by our Constitution, including the right to free speech. These rights are the cornerstone of our constitutional republic, ensuring that all voices are heard and respected. However, there is a time and place for exercising protected speech, and the classroom is not that place. Our schools should be places where children learn critical thinking, gain knowledge, and feel safe exploring diverse perspectives, not spaces where personal beliefs, whether religious, political, or otherwise, are imposed upon them. When teachers display flags, symbols, or memorabilia that represent specific religious, gender, or political ideologies, it sends a message to impressionable young minds that their beliefs should align with those of the educator. This is not education. It is propaganda. It shifts the focus from teaching core subjects and fostering independent thought to influencing children towards specific worldviews. We must stand firm in the belief that classrooms should remain neutral spaces, where respect for all students is upheld, regardless of their background or their family values. It is the role of the schools to teach children how to think, not what to think. Parents, not teachers, are responsible for guiding their children's values and beliefs. When we allow symbols of ideology to dominate our classrooms, we risk alienating students and families who hold differing perspectives. Worse, we create an environment where debate, diversity, and critical thinking are stifled, replaced by conformity to a single narrative. Our commitment should be unity, not division. By removing ideological flags, symbols, books, we ensure that every student feels valued, respected, and included, regardless of their beliefs or identity. Education must be about academics, not activism. But I also know that these freedoms thrive when applied in the appropriate arenas, not when they are imposed upon our children in a classroom. Let us reaffirm our dedication to creating classrooms that celebrate diversity through understanding, not by imposing any one perspective. Together, we can ensure our schools remain a safe place for every child to grow, learn, and thrive. My hope is that, as you vote on this important matter, you consider the children whose values may not align with those of their teacher. These students deserve a classroom where they can focus on learning without feeling pressured to conform any ideology. Whatever guidelines, measures, or procedures are implemented to address the issue must clearly be communicated and incorporated in a professional training curriculum for teachers, ensuring consistency and accountability throughout the school system.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, next up, Miss Louisa McQueen. Louisa McQueen.
I knew you were going to battle with that. Hi, good evening. My name is Louisa McQueen. I live at 1305 State Route 28, Loveland, 45140. I'm here on behalf of a PAC called Claremont Raised Right, and I'm here on behalf of my grandson who's 5 years old, and I'm raising him as a grandmother. So I'm here as a mother and a grandmother. I came to understand the issue that we have at New Richmond with a said teacher, and it bothers me and worries me. What kind of precedents are we setting for young students moving on to growing into being adults? I don't think that this is a place for this. This needs to be a place for when you're 18 years old and you decide what you want to be. It's not a place for a teacher to educate someone like my grandson in what he needs to become. That is my place to do at home. Her place is merely to educate what is in a curriculum. I would like to know all these books that she had, obviously that weren't approved to be put in the library, and then she didn't request to be approved in her public library. Clearly, she shows that she is an unruly teacher. I wouldn't like to have an unruly teacher in the setting of my grandson, teaching my grandson how to be a good, abiding citizen. I don't understand where we have lost our marbles. This is just not right. There is 1.15% of teenagers between the ages of 13 and 17, according to the UCLA study, that we have as transgender in this country. So what are we going to do? Are we actually going to allow for it to start in a third grade class where a third grade student is very vulnerable? Third grade teachers mold the futures of these kids. So is that what we are going to lay out for future? 30,000 people applied for Ed Choice vouchers last year. To have their students removed from a public setting and be put into a private sector. That all costs us money. It's all taxpayers' money. 30,000 applications. It's been the highest they've ever had. And why do we have that? Because we allow in this public setting for things to happen in class. I don't have a problem with that lady sitting over there in a rainbow, just like I don't have a
20
problem
seconds
with Miss
remaining.
Jen over
20
here.
seconds.
I don't have a problem, but it's not in the school setting. And if we don't decide for our young children today, we are going to pay for it in the future. Thank you so much.
Next up is Mr. John Berger.
Hi, I'm John Berger. I live at 3820 Red Fox Drive, Cincinnati, 45245. First thing I'd like to state is that this is the United States of America and it's a free country and anyone is free to do as they wish, and I really don't care what anyone's sexual orientation is or political orientation. You're free to do what you want, but school is not the place for that to be discussed or presented, and especially at an elementary school level. I retired about a year and a half ago, and I had many discussions and disagreements with bosses throughout my career, and there were many debates, and sometimes I changed their minds, sometimes I didn't, but I did know that if I did not follow what my supervisor told me to do, there would be consequences. What they could be up to being fired. So I'd just like to leave that thought in your heads. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up is Miss Laura Dale.
Hi, my name's Laura Dale. I live at 961 Old US 52 in Richmond, Ohio, 45157. So I graduated from Richmond schools many years ago, and I actually have 2 children who are currently in middle school here. I have a grandchild who is in elementary school here. I also have 2 adult children who went to school here. I met Karen K. Hall a couple decades ago when she taught my oldest son, who's now in his 30s. She made such an impression on my child that he still talks about how she was one of his favorite teachers. I recall her being a kind person, and it was always really apparent that she genuinely cares about her students and their families. She exemplifies what a great teacher is, and I think this school district is really lucky to have her. I made a choice to buy a house here and to raise my children here, in a large part because of the quality of the school district. That being said, it's also incredibly important to me that the schools are inclusive for all children. It's my hope that our schools are filled with wonderful teachers like Mrs. K. Hall, who will go out of their way to make sure that every child feels welcome at school, no matter what kind of family they might come from. Children thrive when they feel welcome, accepted, respected, understood, and heard in their classrooms and in their communities at large. This afternoon, I watched the news coverage of yet another school shooting tragedy, and I can't help but think of how important it is to keep every child in the fold. We know that children don't do well when they feel excluded and unwelcome. We have an epidemic of young people turning to drugs, committing suicide, and all these tragic school massacres. We need more teachers like Mrs. K. Hall, who will go the extra mile to make sure that every child feels welcome and accepted in her classroom. We know it's dangerous for children to feel disconnected from their peers, from the school, and from the community. Keeping our schools inclusive for all children helps keep our children, our schools, and our communities healthier and safer. Censorship is a slippery slope. Labeling books that feature characters that don't fit into the mainstream heterosexual mold as being controversial is just harmful. Not all children come from the stereotypical mom and dad families, but this isn't something that needs to be controversial. Those children have a right to see characters in books that might look more like their own family does at home, and all children have a right to know that there are different kinds of families out there that don't always look like their own. Children are not being exposed to anything appropriate or being indoctrinated into any belief system by simply knowing that some families are not exactly the same as their own. It's really no different than allowing a child to read a book with a character in it that might be a rabbi or a Catholic priest.
3 minutes. Thank you. All right, next up, Miss Sarah Razor.
What's that?
Miss Sarah Razor.
Hello, I'm Sarah Razor. I live at 1225 Collier Road, Moscow, Ohio, and it's 45153. This is my first board meeting. I didn't realize I was supposed to be well prepared with everything written out. But all due respect, I do not agree with that. I think if we're going to say all kids, deserve the right to have everything written in class, then why don't we have our Bibles in class? Why can't my kids sit and read about Jesus in class? They're not allowed. My kid can't sit there and read about Matthew and David in class because they're not allowed to have their Bible in class. So why should they be able to read about a kid in class who just realized they are a girl, but they also like girls? Why can they read that they're a boy, but they also like boys? Those are the books that were in Miss Cahall's class. And my daughter is in 2nd grade at Monroe, and she will not be going to Miss Cahall's class next year because I do not approve of that kind of material. I'm raising my daughter in a way where I want her to realize her morals, and I want her to be in a classroom where her teacher is not telling her what she should believe. That is my job as a parent. That is her dad's job. That is not her teacher's job. And if she has questions about that, she should come to me. She could go to her pastor. That is not something that she would go to her teacher for. She would go to her teacher for her math or her history or her social studies, not to her teacher for. And I think that, like he said, in other jobs we would get fired if we disobeyed, and in this position we do something and you just get a 3-day suspension, and then you can sue the district. So I think that's something the district should think about, because our kids are looking like, oh, we can do wrong and there's not much discipline happening. We wonder why our kids are behaving the way they are in schools now. It's just my thoughts.
Thank you.
1 minute, 47 seconds.
All right, next up, Mr. Scott Wolf.
I would basically, Scott Wolf, 1305 Bethel Richmond Road, New Richmond, Ohio, 45157. I would echo her comments, and I feel like the gentleman said here, when I had a job at the hospital, there might have been things that I thought or things that I thought were a good idea, but I did what the hospital told us to do. We had policies and procedures. If we wanted to bring in other things, we had to have it approved. And so I think the school board made things very clear, and I think that the teacher apparently went against the school board's wishes. I have known all 5 of the school board members my entire life, and I have faith in you guys to make the best decisions for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
52 seconds.
Okay, next up, Sarah Kirshner Ayers.
Hello, my name is Sarah Kirshner Ayers. I live at 123 Canal Court, New Richmond, Ohio, 45157. I am a citizen of New Richmond, a taxpayer and a parent in the district, and also a proud member of the LGBTQIA+ community. I am here today to show my unwavering support for Karen Cahall. I first met Karen over 20 years ago when she became my 4th grade teacher here at New Richmond Elementary. Back then, Karen had no idea who I would grow up to love someday. What she did know was how to create a safe, welcoming space for all of her students and their families. This is something that she has consistently excelled at for the duration of her 34-year tenure at New Richmond Schools. In most communities, the wonderful positive things that people will be saying about Karen if they're able to be heard tonight would be things that you would hear during events of praise and celebration, and quite frankly, that's what this should have been. However, because some people believe that the views of some should take precedence over the views of a collective, we're here doing this instead. And to be very clear, there is nothing controversial, shameful, or taboo about queer people or our families. So much so that almost a decade ago, our federal government passed marriage equality, making all marriages and all families equally recognized. So it baffles me to sit here now with people who call themselves my neighbors and patriots, not only undermining the well-being of some of the students and citizens, but also the long-standing decisions made and being currently upheld by our federal government. There is no question that there are plenty of queer people in this community. We shop in the same stores, we own businesses, we are taxpayers, patrons, and leaders in this community. We celebrated Gay Pride on Front Street, a full circle moment that now is one of my fondest New Richmond memories, right behind the time my grandma Dottie took me to Al's Bake Shop after kindergarten for all the candy that I could carry. And that was a good one. But to be honest, it doesn't matter if there are 1,000 queer people in New Richmond or if there is just one. All members of our community need and deserve to be equally represented. The responsibility of the district and of this board is to emphasize the value of all of its people. If you don't have a clear understanding of that, then I fear you don't understand the meaning of community at all. And if that is the case, may I strongly suggest that you sit in on one of Karen K. Hall's classes, because I am certain that she could teach everyone here a little bit more about love, compassion, and community. Thank you for your time today.
All right, next up, Michelle Johnson.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Johnson, 1340 Maple Tree Lane, Moscow, Ohio, 45153. I live in the district. I have a child in the district, and I am a gay woman. There is no reason to not represent queer gay families in this school district. We have many of them. I'm here helping to speak for them this evening. We exist, and it's only fair that we see and our children see what looks like their families being represented in our school. We have a heck of a bullying problem in this school. I know you guys don't like to hear it. I was here, 3 years ago? We talked about it again. We have so many problems with this generation committing suicide, harming themselves, harming each other, and we do not want to keep seeing this. And teaching hate and intolerance is not the way to make this problem better. We want to show love for everybody, not just somebody who looks like us. Does that make sense to anybody else in this room? Don't we all just want to be loved for who we are and who we want to be in our life? Our children, ourselves, every single person here wants that for themselves. And to deny it based on somebody's family looking a little different than yours is ridiculous. And quite frankly, the letter that Karen was given was not professional in my opinion. It was not professional at all. It was condescending and rude. Could have been written way better by somebody else. I just want to thank you for your time, and I hope you take these words into consideration. Have a nice day.
Harrison, do you want to speak, or are you good?
I'll speak.
Okay.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Harrison Wooten and live at 1428 Richmond Road, here in New Richmond, 45157. I'm here to address the misconception regarding the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, or FCA, Bible study that takes place on Friday mornings at our school, which I lead. Specifically, I want to clarify my dad's role in these gatherings, as there seems to be some misunderstanding that needs correction. First and foremost, the FCA Bible study is entirely student-led, which is an important distinction to make. The Supreme Court has upheld students' rights to organize religious activities on school grounds, provided they are voluntary and not school-sponsored. In this case, the gathering is led and organized by students who choose to meet for fellowship and discussion. My dad does not lead or organize these meetings in any capacity. What my dad does is purely supportive. He attends as an adult volunteer, which is allowed under the Equal Access Act. As long as the meetings remain student-driven, his presence ensures that the gathering adheres to any guidelines required for a school-based activity, just as any teacher or adult sponsor might attend a club meeting or extracurricular event. Additionally, my dad has chosen to contribute by purchasing donuts, milk, and orange juice for the students to drink. This gesture is not about leading the gathering. It's simply about showing kindness and support for the students' initiative. Offering breakfast is simply a way to create a welcoming environment for those who voluntarily choose to participate. It's also crucial to emphasize that attendance is entirely voluntary. No student is ever required or pressured to attend. Those who come are there because they want to, exercising their freedom to participate in a student-led group that reflects their values and interests. I understand that misconceptions like this can arise, but I hope this clears things up. The FCA Bible study is not my dad's platform. It belongs to his students. His role is that of a supportive adult who respects their leadership while encouraging an inclusive and voluntary environment. Thank you for your time and your commitment to supporting all students in the right to freely express themselves.
All right, Kylie Phillips.
Hi, my name is Kylie Phillips. I live at 2832 Chestnut Lane, New Richmond, Ohio 45157. I went to New Richmond in the district my entire school career, so K through 12. I graduated in 2013, and I still live here and am a taxpayer here. And I just wanted to show my support for Karen. The censorship of the books seems pretty extreme. I think if you have kids and you don't agree with it, your kids probably aren't even going to read the books. So think about that. She's not making anybody read any of those books. It shows other viewpoints of the world. Once the kids, they grow up, they get out in the world, they see that other people exist that are represented in these books. Yeah, so I think that's about it. But yeah, I just wanted to show my support for Karen. Thank you.
All right, Ed Carter.
Hello, my name is Ed Carter. I'm from Williamsburg, Ohio. It's 903 Southwind Trail, Williamsburg, Ohio 45176. And to start out with, Jesus said, "But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it would be better for him to have a heavy millstone hung around his neck and be drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of its stumbling blocks, for it is inevitable that stumbling blocks come, but woe to that man, woman, through whom the stumbling block comes." And I think you guys are like the buffer. It starts with you guys. You have to protect the little kids, because LGBTQ lifestyles being taught to kids is male child abuse, and we can't stand for that. And then to end on a positive note, or more positive note, Jesus also said, "For God did not send the Son into the world to judge the world, but that the world might be saved through him. He who believes in him is not judged. He who does not believe has been judged already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God." That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Jennifer Kelly. Is that good? Yeah. Mazzucchelli, okay.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Mazzucchelli. My address is 4515 Bells Lake Drive, and I live in Cincinnati 45244. So I'm outside of the New Richmond district, but I wanted to be here from the perspective of a teacher. I have a Master of Arts in Teaching from Miami University. I graduated and got certified to teach secondary integrated language arts. My first year of teaching, I also had a classroom library that had a range of books on a range of topics, because the one thing I learned is, especially with reluctant readers, having a wide variety of literature to read from is important, because some things will be interesting to one, some to another. Long story short, one of the, I had an anthology that had a piece in it that was Howl by Allen Ginsberg. And if you're not familiar, he's one of the beat poets. And I made a copy of it for a student, and I made the mistake as a first-year teacher of not having read the whole thing first. And it had some inappropriate language in it, very inappropriate. And I was physically escorted to the principal's office, where I was scolded by the superintendent and the principal, and then I was physically escorted out of the building, and I had to call and make an appointment to get the rest of my things. I think that there's a difference between instruction and enrichment, and I'm not arguing with what they did, but I'm saying a classroom library is something different than a whole class discussion, a whole class instruction. And I just, while I was sitting there, was scanning the subject matter of all of those books, and none of them are a sex ed class. So I feel like somebody also said censorship is a slippery slope, and I agree, because not so much in the elementary school level, but definitely when you get up into the grades, anything any parent can object to. There's so much literature that's in their classics. Hemingway, Faulkner, Fitzgerald, all of them, they have sexuality content. That's the buzzword up in Columbus. Sexuality content. Something that somebody could find objective.
20 seconds.
Okay. And just also I want to say, I met several of the people who've already spoken, and we had one common concern, and that was, as a society, we cannot talk about difficult conversations with each other. And I think we have to scaffold that by introducing things that people might not all agree on. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Last public participant is David Painter.
I'm David Painter. I live at 1196 Freedom Ridge Road, New Richmond, Ohio, 45157. Good evening, esteemed members of the New Richmond School Board. I'm the current city commissioner here in Claremont County since 2017, and I previously served on the New Richmond School Board from 2004 to 2012. Go Lions. When an issue such as this comes up, it's always good to take a look back to history so that we won't make the same mistake as we had previously. You see, book censorship goes back to the 1600s. The debate over book censorship, or freedom to read, as it has been called, has been cited as a requirement in the United States Constitution, specifically in the First, Fourth, and 14th Amendments. The framework of book banning, like we're discussing in this meeting, dates back to the Comstock Act of 1873. The Comstock Act allowed censorship of immoral material. At the time in history, it could mean anything from sexual content to information about books on contraceptive and for challenging authority. Although I don't believe anyone here today would be in favor of removing some of the great literary works from our public libraries, coming together in a setting like this is why we elect school board members to act on our behalf when it comes to limiting your audiences from materials that we as a community deem inappropriate to our young members. School board members serve on behalf and are electors residing in the New Richmond School District. They are people we know, and they are people we trust. Although it's unfortunate that we have arrived at this crossroad this evening, let us not forget that we are elected to make decisions to limit access to books by instructing an employee of the school district not to place them in a classroom. An instruction of this type is not outrageous, could have been resolved by contacting board members, requesting a meeting with the board, or requesting an executive board meeting. Instead, we're here tonight because an employee didn't comply with the instruction given and placed these books into the classroom after being clearly told not to do so. The issue at hand here this evening isn't about censorship or violation of the United States Constitution. It's about insubordination. So let's make it clear and put the issue and bring it out here so that it can be seen by all New Richmond School District members. Does the Board of Education, on our behalf, have the right to review the content of instructional materials and decide appropriateness of those materials for instructional use? The answer is yes. The authority of the school board is outlined in ORC 3313.21. The Board of Education has the sole authority for determining and selecting all of the material used in schools under its control. Textbooks, curriculum, and any other instructional material. So the answer to that is they do have that ability. In addition, I know that when it comes to teacher discipline, that is done by authority granted in contracts, and that there had to be a decision made to arise upon on this particular suspension. Thank you so much for your attention and for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody. Next on the agenda is the committee reports. First is curriculum and instruction.
That would be me. So back on the 4th of December, we met CNI here at the board office. I believe Mr. Stewart is going to speak on behalf of the junior high and high school handbooks this evening, so I don't want to steal his thunder. He has some great things to share this evening. Are you going to share some stuff about Grant as well or no?
Yes, yep, I will.
All that, he does a much better job talking about all that wonderful stuff. So other than that, let's discuss the CNI meeting on the 4th.
All right, Grant Career Center update.
I'll speak on behalf of Grant Career Center. We last met on November the 21st. Had a presentation by the students, past students, prior students, graduates basically of the Brown County Adult Campus, Career Campus, and basically what they're doing in the field now. And all of them were very successful and very encouraging. So some good work's going on in the Brown County Adult Career Campus. I'll mention that because part of the grant board, part of the Southern Career Campus is part of those two boards make up that board, so that's why I speak about it. Let's see, we reviewed our 5-year forecast and approved it. Good news is we have cash balance throughout the whole portion of the forecast, and we end with a balance as forecast right now, 6.4 million, with about a 200-day true cash balance at the end of the forecast, which the state requires, I believe it's a 60-day cash balance. Also had a report out on the Gary Broadwell Memorial Golf outing. Gary was a school teacher that had passed. There were 31 teams, and there was a net proceed $7,345 that was given to fund scholarships for the for the scholarships of the students of Grant. Just a quick reminder: the New Richmond Board will be required. They're responsible to fill the floating position at Grant for the year 2025. So we'll have signs by that next year. And then our next meeting is this Thursday at 6 o'clock. That's it for Grant.
Okay, next on the agenda is the 10th officer update.
Thanks so much. Mr. Fry, if you could introduce Mr. Flair. Yeah, me too. A brief overview of the program, maybe just 10 seconds. 15.
Mr. Flynn? Where's Mr. Flynn? It's my pleasure to introduce Doug Flam, who is our resource coordinator for the school district. He comes by way of the Job Family Services, who are funding the program that's managed by the Educational Service Center. And Doug's here to just give information on the progress and the services that he has provided to date. Doug Flam.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share the work that we're doing with the families of New Richmond and the students of New Richmond. We're doing a lot of good things to help families, and there's some tough
tough times for a lot of people right now. And that's frustrating not to be able to help them, for sure, so.
Whenever you want the slide change.
Yep, go ahead. The purpose. The purpose is to provide support to the school district and families to ensure success. Truancy, families in crisis, and community. Truancy. Truancy is the #1 risk behavior for students, right? Students have to be in school. If they do not graduate, they don't get that diploma, right? The importance of being in school, it's you can't overstate it, correct? Right? I mean, you have to be in school and be able to graduate and move on. Families in crisis, my goodness. A family in crisis has serious needs, right? Most of them don't have the resources and the ability to get out of that situation that they are in that crisis, and they need help. The New Richmond community, by large, is a very giving, helping, caring community, for sure. And doing this resource coordinator job and working with multiple different folks, that is so evident. Again, I understand we did remove some slides for, and a minute. Here we go. Yep. Yeah, okay. Families in need, 81 contacts.
I'm sorry, we're on this slide.
What's that?
The attendance slides.
The attendance? Oh, families in need. I'm out of sync then. I'm out of sync.
Don't you love that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Here you
love
are.
that.
Everybody's here to see you talk. Right? And I'm gonna mess it up. I'm messing it up.
Yeah,
Right.
that's okay. We can adjust.
Are you good with this?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't see as well anymore, so I'm gonna sneak in a little bit.
Right.
Attendance, 7 students, 35 contacts, no truancy filings, and 7 attending. Main campus, there are 15 contacts. Monroe, none. You guys are doing really good. And Locust Corner, there have been 20 contacts. Now, what is a contact? Anytime that I make contact with the family, do anything kind of work towards the family, emails, phone calls, anything like that, I denote that as a contact, right? And how many times I have been. And that changes a lot, right? A couple of contacts and we're good, we're gone. Some, it's ongoing and lasts a very long time. Some of them are a little bit more complicated, so. Now I'm in family in need, right? Yeah, absolutely. Families in need, 15 families, 81 contacts, 7 resolved, 8 ongoing. 64 contacts with main campus. And Monroe has 4 and 13 for Locust Corner. Just sharing some numbers and some facts with everybody, just to let them know. Food. People are hungry. People don't have food. People need more food. They need extra food. Has anybody ever gone hungry and not had enough food? It's scary, it's frightening, it's unsettling. It really affects your life, right? So there's many pantries available in the New Richmond area, which is a great thing. I particularly use Interparish Ministries. They do a great job. They have a new facility that is phenomenal. They give a lot of food. They give a lot of extra stuff. And I know a lot of my cohorts use the same company, the same place as well, right? I have partnered with them somewhat for a lot of families down here cannot get up to Eastgate area to get their own food, right? So I contact one of the head people there and ask, do you have time? Is there times that people can't get there? And absolutely they are. Will you please call me and let me know if they can't get to you to get the food, to let me know. I will go pick it up and I will deliver it for them to make sure that they get that food. right? It's so important, right? Clothing. I have not had a lot of issues with clothing. Luckily, I think a lot of that is because of Lions Reach Out, right? We have a family that is displaced and started going with Glam, and then things worked out for them and got a little bit better. And then the benefactors, churches and other community members. I have contacted some of our church folks and trying to build a network with them and all of us together to where we can meet regularly and see what we can do to serve our community better, right? And help them better. The food, the clothing, benefactors, out of that, we are working on developing a closet, so to speak. Something that we have here in this building, down at the bottom with the others. And we can immediately give them maybe socks, underwear, shoes, things like that to get them going until we can get anything else through Glam and other contributors to getting people what they need. So looking into building, getting a closet going. Right now, down here from IPM, I have 3 boxes left of canned and perishable, non-perishable items that I can give out to people. Friday, I think it was, I got a call and said, we need food. And I said, I'll be right down. I came down here, got the food, delivered it to the family, and they were so grateful. So grateful just to have. The mom told me, said, I just ordered pizza. So, well, I'm going to be down with more food. Right? And so we did that and got that taken care of. Next. Partners, community, regional partners, United Way 211, Brighton Center, Project Lift, Glam, and I got to tell you, 211 and Brighton Center, without a doubt, have come through more than anybody else. I don't know what we would do without that, to be very honest with you. And New Richmond and Felicity are the only 2 school districts that have access to the Brighton Center. And I don't know how my co-workers are doing what they're doing without having the access of that. Right, and the biggest thing with the Brighton Center is getting to them before they get too far gone, right? And some of the stories that were removed, one family, but actually 2 families, waited too long to contact, and they missed out, right? One, they had to move, right? And both of them had to move. So the sooner we get on it and get Brighton Center going, making those contacts, that we have success. We have a lot of success. I have 26 families that I have served this first semester. And if you want to see a list and the outcomes from them, I could absolutely provide that for you, if you'd like to see that list. And if you would like to see the Brighton list from the referrals and what they've done, I also have that ready if anybody wants a copy of that. Community partners and regional partners. We are meeting quarterly now. This just started this school year. And the United Way, Sally Aiken is coming, the Brighton Center, Lions Reach Out, and myself and Mr. Fry is there quite often as well. Right? And we're getting things done. We're working together. We are all trying to figure out better ways to serve the people of Claremont County, right? In New Richmond, Felicity, and in our hometown where we live, right? Take care of our own.
The link at the bottom, what is that?
That's to me, right? Or I'm sorry, Garth.
That's actually a live link on our website that Mr. Shanklin is going to talk about during the communication presentation.
Claremont County pilot program, United Way, the Brighton Center. The United Way was contracted with the Brighton Center out of Northern Kentucky. 16 referrals so far this year, I believe. That's a lot. I think that's a lot. I really do. I think that's a lot in the first half of this school year. So 7 families have been stabilized through rent assistance, utility, bill assistance and such, and that's what the Brighton Center does. They get there, they try to help these people understand money management and different programs like that they have there as well. 5 families are currently facing housing crisis. 4 families became homeless in New Richmond and have relocated out of the district, and 2 doubling up with relatives, and 2 have found housing elsewhere. Housing is absolutely the hardest thing for us to find. All of us. Last year, I had a family that was in a hostile environment where they were living. They had to get out. It was violent. I went to a mobile home park here in our district, asked for how much is rent, how much is a mobile home, how much is this, and she told me $1,000 down payment, $1,000 for the rent, and the mobile home. And I said, are you kidding me? We all pay that somewhere around, somewhere in that, that money for our own houses, and we're asking these people that are, that have higher needs to pay that kind of money. Housing is the hardest thing for us to find, and I don't know the answer to it. Money, and just money. More housing. I really don't know. People smarter than me, I guess. Next. And then here are some referrals and some websites. Referrals up there, and we have a copy of that, and Gart's gonna, is that what you're gonna share? Yeah, and you're gonna be able to share all of that. So, the QR code in the corner here, I did start a referral online program, and you click on that and it gets to that program. I have, in the first week that I've had it, I've had 3 referrals based off of that QR code. So it's working. We're working out the glitches, but it's working. Really trying to get me and what we are all trying to do out to the community, because there are people that we are not reaching. And we're doing our best to, we're improving, we're growing, we're trying to figure out how to get in touch with these people so that we can help them. Right? Any other questions or anything, comments, anything?
Thank you.
Thank you
so
for your
much,
time.
Chris. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, next up is the contract with Children's Hospital.
Several months in the making, we finally achieved a great lease agreement with Children's Hospital. Again, the plan is through grant funding to create a children's medical health center. The agreement reached out is they're going to pay us some rent of $35,000 the first year. It goes up a little bit the second and third years. And I'm asking for the board to consider this and hopefully to approve this, and we can move forward with Children's Hospital.
Okay, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the contract and lease with Children's Hospital as presented.
Also move. I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have one question, Mr. Miller. Is that a 10-year lease? I can't remember.
It is not. It is not. It's your lease. Don't make me laugh.
I forget.
Sorry, I mean it's 3 years. No, it's 3 years.
Okay.
But they're interested in enriching this partnership.
Okay. 10 years was the standard. Is that what I heard? Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other comments? All right, roll call.
Mr. Fall?
Yes.
Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Yes. Thanks so much. Children's Hospital will be ecstatic this happening. I'm sorry.
Next item is approval of state student and staff for travel participation.
So last year, at least in my time here, was the first year of doing this, and it was sending kids off campus is always a big deal. So I want to make sure it goes correctly, and it was a wonderful experience. It's during spring break. It's for a couple of days. compared to what it costs to send teams to Florida and the Carolinas, which some schools do, it's very reasonable in terms of price. They're asking again for the girls, the ladies softball team to be able to go to the Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area for a few days over spring break. And Mr. Stewart's here if there's any additional questions.
Do all students have access to transportation to get there?
Yes.
There's no varsity or JV kids going to be left behind?
Nope, not one.
Okay.
I'm sorry, school funding, correct?
Pardon me?
School fund, no, this is
No,
not school funded.
Correct,
point.
correct. It is
That's
not
a great
school funded
point.
trade, no.
Important point.
It is, thank you.
Alright. It is recommended the Board of Education approve an out-of-state and multi-night field trip for high school softball students and staff members, coaches to travel to the Ripken Experience, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, March 24th through 27th, 2025, presented by Principal Joe Stewart. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Wells, second, Mr. Wooten. Any further discussion? All right, roll call.
All right, Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Wooten?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Default?
Yes.
All right, human resource items.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and just a shorter consent item for human resource. Again, just for those, for the maybe here for the first time or watching this for the first time, it's in red. The change came across over the weekend because we like to go live with our agendas on the Thursday before. So we had one come in late this morning, a resignation. Starting to see Anthony Peterson leave us, longtime coach and teacher here, does a great job. We'll miss him. And this is a revision of Mr. Shinkle's, his original requested date of retirement. I'm going to welcome Bonnie Cadell back to the fold. We're happy to have her back. She's a wonderful employee. A few subs. And again, our ongoing supplemental table, the only red name is our assistant girls basketball coach, Coach Nate Fight, asking for approval of him. And our ongoing request to have our teachers get reimbursed for science of reading training. That is the consent items.
Okay, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve items 11A through 11E.
So moved.
Go ahead. Ms. Story.
Second.
Second, Mr. Dufault. Any discussion?
Are any of our retirees here tonight, or Mr. Peterson here tonight? He's not. Okay. Mr. Shinkle? He's not. Okay.
All right. Good, everybody else good? Roll call.
All right, Mr. Default?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Wooten?
Yes.
Mrs. Story?
Yes.
All right, next up, contract modification.
Pierce Township went through a contract negotiation, their police department, a year ago. So they bumped it up a little bit last year, and they told us this was going to happen again this year. This is an increase of their hourly rate. Again, they provide security services for Locust Corner Elementary School.
Okay, it is recommended the Board of Education approve modification of the agreement made on April 15th, 2024 with Pierce Township for police services effective December 23rd, 24 as stated above. I don't think I need to read the whole thing.
$54.31 an hour, but that includes their benefits. There's a only because to make it official, there's a cost in there for a holiday pay. We're not, they would never offer that. So it's really just the $54 an hour, which is their salary and benefits.
Okay, so the motion is it is recommended the Board of Education approve the modification of the agreement made on April 15th, 24 with Pierce Township for police services effective December 23rd, 24 as follows, which the main difference is highlighted there. Non-contract day is $54.31 per officer per hour.
Yes.
Also move.
Mr. Wooten.
Second.
Second, Mr. Wells. I guess I hear that other this here. All right, any other discussion? Roll call.
All right, Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. Default?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Wooten?
Yes.
Treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. We have minutes to ask for approval this evening. From November 6th, Athletic Council, November 13th, Facilities Committee, November 14th, Finance Committee, and on November 18th, the regular meeting minutes for approval this evening. Item E is board report, financial reports. Only noticeable things have a donation this evening. We're always appreciative of donations. And I have a very short request for tonight. That's all I have. The treasurer's report.
Okay, it is recommended the Board of Education approve items 13A through item 13F.
So moved.
Mr. Wells? Second. Ms. Story, the second. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
All right, Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. DeFault?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda is the appointment of President Pro Tem for and establishment of organizational meeting date, which is required every year for our Board of Education. So the Board of Education agrees to appoint Jonathan Zimmerman as the President Pro Tempore and establish the date of January 6, 2025 at 5 p.m. for the 2025 organizational meeting. All right. Next up is the treasurer's contract. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the attached contract with Matt Pritchard to serve as treasurer for the period August 1st, 2025 to July 31st, 2028.
Also moved. Second.
Second. Mr. Wells. Any discussion? Okay.
I'll just say it's been good to have you on board. I'm pleased you want to stay with us.
I'm pleased you get it.
Thank you.
You've done a great job.
Thank you very much.
And for the community, I think it's really important to point out that having the continuity of this treasurer who knows where we've been, what our savings plan has been, and what we're about to face is really critical. So, some people are leaving.
All right. Okay, roll call.
All right. Mr. DeFault?
Yes.
Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Academic report.
Good evening. You don't get to really hear me talk tonight. I'm sure you're grateful. We're presenting for first reading our registration guides, and so Mr. Stewart will be doing that for the middle school and the high school.
Middle school, high school first.
Middle school, please. And before we start, I'd like to just, on a personal note, give my thanks to Mr. Miller for his 5 years here in the district. It's my 4th year under his tutelage. We have moved the needle so much in the 5 years of being here, Mr. Miller. You've been steering the ship down a healthy road, both financially and academically for our community. So, personal note, I want to thank you for your leadership and guidance. You'll be sorely missed. And it's no coincidence that you choose to leave us at the same time the Bengals are having the worst season in a few years.
So why would you bring that?
I think
Why
that's
would you bring that up, right?
So, we've got a few exciting things on the horizon for the middle school. I'll start with the middle school, Mr. Moore. If you want to scroll down to page 2, if you don't mind, right there in red. And what I'll do is I will circle back with this new course to our high school guide because it links both buildings. But we would like to add a new advanced physical science course both at the high school level and at the middle school level as well. I'll explain the rationale when we get to the high school curriculum guide a little later. If you want to scroll down a little bit further, I think it's page 3. There is a new course in our 7th grade we're excited about next year, if we can get it approved, is a career exploration course. As I've talked about here in my 4 years, continuous improvement, continuous growth is something I'm passionate about for all of our students. At the high school, we have our 3 E's for our student pathways: enroll, enlist, employ. We want to tamp that down to the 7th grade, potentially starting next year, bringing in this course with a curriculum based on helping students find what their career interests might be, expose them to possible career clusters through surveys and resources, and as they matriculate up in the grade levels, they'll have a better idea of which pathway they want to take when they get to the high school, if that's working right out of high school, going to grant for a career path, or go to university and pick up a career after university. So we're looking forward to that. If we can get it approved, that would be a great addition to our middle school curriculum. Our new course, again for the 8th graders, is this core in sustainable construction, which is part of our new grant program we're going to have at the high school. So I'll circle back to that again when we get to the high school, because it does link both of the buildings on the main campus as well. So that's kind of the additions we're making potentially to our middle school campus. If we want to switch to the high school campus, Mr. Miller, I'm going to go in a little more detail about some of those new courses. We have several things we'd like to propose that we add to our high school curriculum guide for next year. You want to start on page 18, Mr. Miller, if you don't mind? So the next three things we'll
and
talk.
I'm sorry, because
Go ahead.
some people, this might be their first time here at these board meetings. So you have red is new, and you see black, that's strike-through lane, like we're recommending to remove this course. So for example, photographic composition, we're not interested in offering this course. Why?
Low student engagement, and we're adding courses to kind of
Right,
supplement
so
that.
low student enrollment, just so
Yes.
they know,
Sure.
you know.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so I'm sorry, page 18.
Yes, so right there's perfect. So we are looking to modify 3 of our already existing courses that we offer at the high school. We have a class called Business and Consumer. We've ran that for several years. We'd like to modify that a little bit. Student engagement is going down for this course. The enrollment is going down a little bit, so I work with our teacher. We are going to add some new content curriculum to the Business and Consumer course, rebrand it as the fundamentals of business, sports, and entertainment. Still taking the principles of business and consumer, but adding it through a different lens to kind of excite the students on things that they want to talk about and learn about with the sports and entertainment philosophy attached to that existing course already. Same thing with our sports and marketing, sports, entertainment, and marketing. That'll kind of add some new content to the marketing course, again, to increase student engagement and student excitement in that course. It is an elective. And again, looking at marketing through a sports and entertainment lens, students want to talk about sports, they want to talk about entertainment. So hopefully kind of jazz it up a little bit and get the students excited, taking courses that they want to choose. We're also going to modify our financial literacy course, which we currently run as well. That is in our 10th grade currently. That is, of course, as you know, a state-mandated course. We put that in our 10th grade 2 years ago to catch the kids that were going to Grant. Grant did not offer that as part of their academic program for the last 2 years. They are adding that next year. So that means that we don't have to capture those students who are going to Grant in 11th grade. We are going to bump it up to 11th grade potentially and make it a CCP course or a college and credit plus course. So the students will get college credit for enrolling in that. Students can also take that for high school credit if they choose. The teacher will differentiate the instruction based on the students wanting high school credit and college credit for that course. The teacher that is going to teach it is already teaching this course at UC. She's approved through UC for the students to get the college credit if we start day 1 next year. So excited about those courses being potentially added to our high school curriculum guide for next year. If you scroll down to page 21, Mr. Miller, we're looking to add another CCP course, an English composition course in our ELA department. The rationale, oh wait, go ahead. I'm sorry. And the Bengals thing flushed you a little bit.
Right,
Got you off the game. Got you off the game.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So we're looking to add a CCP English comp class. The rationale for this is different. We are losing our students to go to UC and UC Claremont to take this course. This will keep our students in our building with our teachers. It's the #1 CCP course that students are leaving us for, is the English composition. We have a teacher already certified through UC. The contract's been signed. She's ready to go day 1 if we get approval to add it to our ELA department next year. And we know students will take that to stay on campus with their teachers next year.
Which will help also fill out some of our electives, because there's been a time traveling back and forth.
Yes, absolutely.
Keep them on campus.
Absolutely.
Experience that high school experience.
Yeah. So if I can circle back to the 2 courses I mentioned at the middle school, this is kind of a unique, and I'm very excited about these 2 new courses because it flows in with our transition through 6 through 12 that we're doing on main campus this year. So going back to the Advanced Physical Science course, that will be offered for some of our 8th grade students on the Advanced Science track coming out of 7th grade. Currently, we only have 1 Advanced 8th grade science class. In the 8th grade, that's Advanced Science 8. Those students then get on the pathway to take Advanced Science 8. They then go into Advanced Biology, 9th grade, 10th grade, Honors Chemistry, then 11th grade, AP Chem or AP Physics. The problem is they skip our Physical Science course in 10th grade because they're on the advanced track. The important part is the Physical Science course is an introduction to physics. So our students who are on the advanced track get no physics at all before they jump into AP Physics 11th and 12th grade. I feel we're missing something there, and we're not setting these kids up for success. So if we add the Advanced Physical Science, our 8th grade students can take it if they're on that physics pathway, but our 10th grade students can take it as well. They can take that in 10th grade or the Honors Chem. This gives those students coming out of 9th grade biology who want to take AP Physics a semester in that year-long course of getting an intro to physics teaching, so they're not jumping into AP Physics with no background in physics. We feel it's the best choice for our students to set them up for success next year. We are going to hold a couple of sections for our 8th grade students as well. We foresee about 12 to 14 students who will be handpicked coming out of the Advanced 7 Science course to put them in there in the 8th grade sections as well. We have a teacher already in line, excited to teach this course if it gets approved for next year. So I am very excited about that as well. Now, the kind of highlight I feel for the high school program next year is a partnership with Grant. We are the #1 school for sending students. We have 80-something students right now with Grant, 84. We've got several partnerships with them. I'm very happy to announce this new one. It is an entire grant program with 3 courses we're going to bring in potentially next year, and I'll talk about each one in turn. The kind of base level or first level course is the core and sustainable construction. This is an entire pathway for students on a construction who have an inclination to get into that field post-high school or post-university. And we start with the core and sustainable construction course. We are going to offer that to any 8th grade student as well. It's part of the CTE package we already have at the middle school anyway. We're going to hold over 1 or 2 sections just for 8th grade kids to take that course at the high school if they choose to. This is an entry-level construction safety, how to use the tools and programs. That'll be offered to 8th, 9th, and 10th grade students at the middle and high school next year. That is a semester course. The second course we're going to add is Principles of Wood Construction, which is similar to the woods class that Mr. Schinkel taught and had great success with for the past few years anyway. This will be our second level of that course, open to 9th and 10th graders. That 2 is a semester course. And the third course is the top one in the chart, Mechanical, Electrical, and Plumbing Systems. Somewhat around the home maintenance course that Mr. Schinkel also taught as well. So 2 courses our students are familiar with and are all going to be brand new. And that'll be a year-long course for our 10th through 12th grade students. But an exciting partnership with Grant. We're further exploring other opportunities to kind of bring their programs, those career tech programs, into our schools for those students who want to get in a career right away post-high school on that employment track that we have at the high school already. So those are our major additions and proposals to the high school and middle school curriculum guide for your consideration for next year. Any questions?
Joe, if you could, at our CNI meeting, I thought your comments were really profound. You talked about Joe and how if you could just kind of relay, if you had a kid going to schools, how excited you would be. Can you just share that with the group, please?
Sure. You can stand by
That's
a
okay.
compliment.
You're right. Where are you going?
Right back here. Go ahead.
Because he's a Giants fan. You won't be able to get out.
I had just shared at the CNI meeting that since Mr. Stewart has been our high school and our middle high school principal, that we have added so many opportunities for our students at our middle and high school, and just the growth in our AP programming has been exponential. He also really works hard to identify when students either need some more enrichment or some more encouragement and readiness for some of our courses, and has solutions. He always comes to us with solutions on how to do that, and in every single case it's what is best for the students that we're trying to help, or the students we're trying to encourage, enrich, and we have amazing students in New Richmond. I say every time I'm in the middle of high school, they're just incredible people, and they deserve to have as many opportunities as possible. And I see that every time I interact with Mr. Stewart. He is always looking out for the students and what we can do best to help them.
So next month we will be having the second reading and voting. All right, communications report.
I'll walk it through. So before we get too far into the actual report itself, I too would just like to take a minute to thank Mr. Miller. Yesterday, Sunday, was actually my 2-year anniversary with the district. Sometimes it feels like it's gone by like the night, other times not so much. But I would like to just take this time to thank him for the chance that he took on me, someone coming from a sports journalism background with no communication experience in school districts whatsoever. So thank you for everything these last couple of years. Now you can thank me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
As Mr. Fry and Mr. Flynn alluded to earlier, we have set up a web page for those among us who may need a little bit of extra assistance. You can see right at the top there's a banner on our homepage. This will be across all homepages in the district. They link to that community resources page. On that page, it shows up pretty quickly most of the time, and I'll change that wording throughout the year so it doesn't always refer to the holidays. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to have that up in February. But you can find a list of resources broken down by that handy infographic right there. There's a link to the referral form that Mr. Flam talked about earlier right there, the Google form for that. You also have contact information available for Mr. Flam on this page, and anyone can fill out this form. It does not have to just be a New Richmond staff member. I think it might say that at the time, but we have changed this form so we no longer have to list a staff member's name. It can be filled out by anyone inside or outside of the district. There's the contact information for Mr. Flam there. There's the community resource guide that was on the old web page. This one has moved over to the new one. So there's just a bunch of resources available on this page, and if it scrolls down, which I think it will here in a second, there's more information about those 211s, the 911s, and the 988 numbers, as well as the Stable Families program through the Brighton Center that helps families find housing throughout the area, throughout the community, and you can contact Doug Flam as well to find all of that information. As it scrolls through there, what each of those numbers are for and how to find that information. While I have everyone looking at the website, I would also like to point out that earlier this month there was another page launched by me. It was this communications page right here. Most of this does not have anything to do with any of us. It's just media guidelines for outside media members coming in here and what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. But on the right side, you can see there's a heading that says District Social Media. The district level social media is listed there. In the drop-down arrows below that are all the building level social media accounts. So there's the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts for the high school, the middle school, Locust Corner, Monroe. And there are actually multiple social media accounts for our athletic department as well. They are on Facebook, Instagram, and they have a YouTube page. The YouTube is where they stream all the live sporting events. If you didn't know that, that's the streaming through Huddle is done on YouTube. So this extra little couple seconds here was not supposed to be in there. I forgot to cut that out. But in a second, we will quickly transcription to some of the events that happened from around here in the last month. So the last time we met, the day after that, the Claremont County Sheriff's Office came out and showed some of their drones off to some of our students. Thank them for that tremendously. The kids had a great time. Some of the officers brought them out to the football field, showed off how to fly the drones. The weather wasn't the greatest, a little bit of dreary rain, but everything went off without a hitch. And again, thank you to the Claremont County Sheriff's Office for coming out and showing their experience with the kids. We mentioned athletics briefly a little bit, and our girls basketball team opened the season against Georgetown on November 22nd. These are some JV and varsity photos from that night. The girls are 2-5 overall with wins over Blanchester and Miami Valley Christian Academy. They are playing Goshen in about 5 minutes over at the high school, so if you want to swing by there after this game, or after this presentation is over, I'm sure the kids would love the sport. We have another Friday night road game against Batavia this upcoming Friday. So if you can't get out there tonight, they're in the doubleheader of Batavia that we'll talk about more in a second here coming up on Friday. I think that's the last photo before the next one.
The last one.
Yep. So on December 6th, some of our high schoolers made a quick trip over to Locust Corner Elementary to build some gingerbread houses with some of our elementary students. Student council spent about an hour there putting together the houses with varying levels of success from what I saw. There are some of those kids, though, who will probably take a lot of interest in that construction program that we have coming up. Finally, on Friday night, this past Friday night, the boys basketball team went out to Western Brown. They picked up a big road win out there with the Broncos. They defeated Western Brown 72-57. That is the most points they've scored against the Broncos since 2014, 10 years. It was their first win over Western Brown since January of 2021. Shout out to Anthony Wolf. He had 25 points. Preston Dykes also had 12 points and 16 rebounds in that game. They are currently your conference leader, 3-0 overall, 2-0 in league play. They have a big game against Goshen tomorrow night. Goshen is undefeated as well. And on Friday night, they too are in Batavia for a big conference game. So if you can get out to any of those games this week, come out and support the kids. Thank you.
That perfectly.
I know that one much better than last month.
That's intense. She get up and cheer.
That was after the 10-point lead got cut down to 6.
Oh,
and then 3.
oh boy, oh boy. Now those drones aren't part of what we're seeing on the national news, are they?
I was gonna say, that's not
all right. Be sure. Right.
All right, adjournment. Anybody want to make a motion for adjournment?
So move.
I'll second.
Roll call.
All right, Mr. Duval?
Yes.
Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.